have a board game I wanted to take a look at. This is sort of an unboxing, although it's already been opened. It's been opened because my wife actually got the designer to sign it. We went to a talk at Labyrinth in Washington, D.C. A few nights ago, and saw the game creator and some other folks talking about the game. And then they did demos, but we weren't able to stay for the demos at the time. But this is Votes for Women. Join the American women's suffrage movement, 1848 to 1920. And I love this cover. I think it's fantastic. Now it's a classic image, but I feel like the way that they used the old image and then worked in everything, I just really think this looks good. This reminds me of the really good bookcase games that were more popular, I feel like in the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s. Obviously the big company, Avalon Hill, but SPI, all that sort of thing. This feels like it would fit next to those so well. So this was actually at the creator is Tory Brown, by the way. That's on the front cover here. So this, and it's from Fort Circle Games. So this was at the War Games Wednesday. I can talk. At Labyrinth. And it was a cool event. And this does have a sort of a women's thing. This was a League of Women's Voters. Apparently was a sponsor in some way for this. I'll put that over there. So you can see, I mean, it has a lot of pieces, cards, more cards, states, suffragist, a rule book, which doesn't look super beefy, so I like that. This stuff, I love Call of Cthulhu. That's a game with a lot of handouts and a lot of props and stuff. I love props. I love recreations of things like that. Now this is the designer's notes, which I think is a very cool thing. I think having the notes in there, but it talks a little bit about historical documents, because in here there are reproductions of historic documents and with different paper qualities, and I love this stuff. Again, the Call of Cthulhu keeper in me is very excited to see recreated historic documents. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. Oh yeah, some racist stuff. What I do find interesting and was talked about a little bit at the event. Look at, this is crazy. There's so many of these. It's great. Newspaper. But what was talked about was the division, here's that, Anti-Slavery Bugle, Women's Rights Convention. There was a lot of division even within people arguing for suffrage. And some of that was, it was on the color line. There were folks who thought that women should vote, but only white, frankly, WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant women. They didn't want necessarily African-American women voting, or Irish Catholic immigrants, or Italians, anybody from Southern Europe or other parts, Eastern Europe. They didn't necessarily want those people coming into the country and voting. I don't know, how does that sound familiar to anybody? But it was not a uniform thing. Not everybody in this movement had the same ideas about things. This is a great map, and it's like very solid, which I like. So it's a great looking game. I have heard positive things about it from not just from the people presenting and talking about it. Here's some pieces that haven't been punched out yet. So my wife and I are going to give this a try coming up. We tried the Rocketeer game last night, yes, but haven't had a chance yet to try this. It is, from what I understand, meant for, it sounds like 1, 2, or 3 players. There is in it there's a system in it for doing solo play, which I believe also then works for cooperative play, and it's essentially taking the anti-suffrage standpoint and putting it into kind of a like it has a mechanic to run it instead of a person, in case, you know, if you have a couple of people who want to play the game and nobody wants to take the part of the people who are fighting against women's votes, then you have a system in place to run that part of the game. But if you have somebody who's willing to take that on, then you can also play 3-player. And then the divisions, you know, you have 2 different groups of suffragists, and then the sort of anti-suffrage side of things. So, it is, as somebody, as the designer pointed out, it's interesting because you need to get a certain number of pro states, and they don't need to get nearly as many anti-states to do things. And so it has an interesting tension that way. You know, that you're pushing for this thing, but to get away from it is maybe a little easier, and that's a good reminder, I think, for people. So there's a lot of interesting pieces. I think these are essentially your three factions. Get their cubes. Your anti, your pro, get your check marks, I suppose, put on your states or your locations. That would be my assumption. And then you have your markers for people. Again, you have your 3 factions. I believe that's correct. Yes. I don't know what these pieces are, and I'm not sure what's up with all the dice. It is interesting. They're D12, but it looks like they're actually D4s or something. They only go up to 4, it looks like. And then the 8-siders do go up to 8. Okay. So they are actual 8-siders, and then it looks like actual 6-siders in there. Yep. So, it's cool. You know, never too many dice. So that is, you know, my first look here at votes for women. It definitely looks like it could be a cool and fun game. I have heard it compared favorably to a game called, I think it's called 1960, Making an American President, or 1960, it's 1960, and then some kind of subtitle that I have heard it mentioned in the same circles with, and having maybe some similarities too. I have not tried that game, but this one looks good. I haven't played a game like this in quite a while. You know, these old, and this is new, but these old bookcase type games, they were all the rage. When I worked in a game store in the 90s, we had people in playing them all the time. And I got into a few of them, but not a ton. So I'll be interested to check it out anyhow. And I'm going to have to repack that box because I did a very poor job. Just while I'm at it, I'm not sponsored, except that maybe right now I'm being propped up by this gin. I'm having a nice gin and tonic. This may be the best darn gin I've ever had. Dogfish Head. This is the Melodious Gin juniper berries, orange peel, lemon and lime peel, whole leaf hops, chamomile flowers, coriander, and cardamom. This is, I think they only sell it at their locations, at their distillery, maybe. I'm not sure. That's where we got it, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I'm just going to enjoy a little bit of it here. That is really good. So, Votes for Women, check it out soon. I'll probably try to have some kind of review on my blog. The usual stuff, check below, look at any links. I'm sure I'll have some links down there. My usual stuff, my Patreon, my author page, all that sort of thing. Help out if you can. Buy me a coffee if you like to, if you like this kind of content. And the other stuff, like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. You've been watching YouTube before. So, all right, take care.